This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on ease of doing business rankings of states. The participants are A.K. Bhattacharya, economic analyst, and AIR correspondent Sonu Sood.
World Bank's Ease of Doing Business 2020 report says at 63rd position, India was among the top 10 performers in terms of improvement in ease of doing business for the third consecutive year due to the persistent efforts to drive business reforms agenda, both at the central and state level. Yesterday, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman released the Business Reforms Action Plan 2019 Rankings Report, which ranks states on ease of doing business. Mr. Bhattacharya, for a large and complex country like India, what is the role of state-level ease of doing business rankings in attracting investment, both domestic and global?
Any ranking which measures the ease of doing business under a broad categories of policy reform, there are about 180 reform parameters which are judged. The investors find it easy and they can make their choices depending on which state actually offers them more friendly business environment. Now, while it's true that a foreign investor looks at India as a country, but the fact of the matter is that that foreign investor is actually dealing with the local administration which is run by the state government. Now, therefore, the state government ranking actually play a very critical role. And more importantly, within India, when somebody from Maharashtra wants to explore the option of investing in another state, that domestic investor wants to have a kind of a yardstick by which he can judge where he should invest. Should he invest in Madhya Pradesh, or should he invest in Gujarat, or should he invest in Rajasthan? Now, these rankings actually provide a very good pointer to that potential investor of what are the possible options and what are the attractive facilities that are made available by different state administration.
Mr. Bhattacharya, while releasing the rankings, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said the states have embraced the true spirit behind the State Business Reforms Action Plan. This competition among states to reform their business and approval processes to attract investments, do you think it will push up the total investment in the country as a whole?
It will certainly guide more investments to states that have done well in these rankings. Remember, there are about 180 reform parameters under 12 broad business regulatory areas, and they cover things like land availability, how are contracts enforced, how are disputes resolved, what is the access to information on investment, is there a single window clearance or not, what is the state of labor reforms, what are the environment regulations, and how are they implemented. Now, if an investor comes to know that Andhra Pradesh, for example, continues to be number one state in the ease of doing business index. Now, for the third consecutive year of the survey, Andhra Pradesh remains number one. So it is very clear that Andhra Pradesh will be able to attract more investment. So one is not sure whether the total investment in India will go up or not, but certainly states will be able to attract more investment depending on their ranking. For example, take the case of Haryana. It was ranked in 2017, the last ranking, at number 3. So it was one of the top investment destinations, but that ranking has now gone down to 16. So I'm reasonably sure that if any potential prospective investor who wants to look at the entire India as a landscape for investment would look at Haryana with a little bit of doubt and saying, has something gone wrong that its ranking has come down from 3 to 16? So therefore, that way, states inter se will gain at the cost of the other. That is very clear.
Mr. Bhattacharya, as I see it, State Business Reforms Action Plan is an action-oriented blueprint for states to improve their business climate and make it investor-friendly. Onus of implementation is entirely on the states in putting together the action plan and making sure the reforms happen. And this is crucial for improving the ranking. For example, UP, which jumped 10 places to second spot in 2018-19 rankings released yesterday, implemented practically all the reforms which were suggested by the center.
That's right. Out of the 180 reform parameters, out of 176 items, they have got a positive tick mark there. So naturally, that has helped them go up from 12th rank in 2017 to the second rank. And now remember that this is a new thing that has been introduced in the 2019 survey, that this is not just based on the claim. In the previous two rankings, by and large, if a state government is claiming that I have achieved this, I have done that, I have done this. The survey, which is the DIPP and the World Bank, they would accept that by and large. But this time, this survey has been subjected to a rigorous test of feedback survey from the stakeholders, which means the users, the industries, the trade, the different private sector bodies. Now, there are about 35,000 responses were received for this year's ranking. So it is not just a question that the UP has gone up from 12 to 2 based on its claims, but it has also been corroborated by responses coming from stakeholders. Similarly, you take the case of Orissa, which has gone down from 14 to 29. Now there, apparently, the responses that came in were not good enough, or if the responses were not there at all. So therefore, the entire survey is a reflection of what kind of a feedback mechanism has been in place. If the responses to the claims made by states have not met with a positive affirmatory response, then that claim is not taken on board. In other words, the state loses out in the ranking.
Mr. Bhattacharya, you just now mentioned that these rankings are based on 180 reform points covering 12 business regulatory areas. So can you tell us what are the key areas of doing business which are considered by businesses when making an investment decision? How does a state or a country build an investor-friendly environment and improve business climate?
You have to see that most of the states which have done well, in a sense, they have improved their rankings. Take the case of UP, take the case of Himachal Pradesh, or take the case of Delhi, which has gone up from 23 to 12. Tamil Nadu has also improved marginally from 15 to 14. Now, these states have done one thing very well, which is a single window clearance mechanism. Now that, to my mind, it seems to be a big attraction for potential investors. The second thing which the investors are very, very clear about is that states which can enforce contracts, they have been rated at a higher level than the other parameters. The availability of land, how easily the land parcels are made available for industry is a major issue. Labor reforms and, as I said, land leasing. Now, these are the issues that are of significant importance to potential investors. You know, this time the improvement of Delhi's rank from 12 to 11 is a very positive sign for India's overall rank to get better whenever the World Bank comes up with its countrywide survey for next year, because this year I think there is a delay because they are doing their own data calculation and data review. But see, the World Bank looks at parameters in Delhi, Bombay, and probably they will include Bangalore this year. Now, if Delhi's rank has gone up from 23 to 12, my sense is that this will very positively influence India's overall rank of 63 whenever the World Bank comes out with its new ease of doing index report.
Mr. Bhattacharya, how important is the use of technology in improving business to government interaction?
The online interfaces, the online whether it is the approvals are given through a portal, that UP has, for example, has done very good work. Himachal Pradesh has done very good work. Delhi has also moved in the same direction. So if you look at the dispute resolution, now is it done across the table or is it done on a faceless manner? Now these are becoming very, very important determinants in the ranking business.
Mr. Bhattacharya, in Global Innovation Index, recently India has reached among the top 50 countries. How important is innovation in achieving growth in business, especially in today's technology-centric times?
Certainly, innovation is an important player in helping in getting more investments, because if you raise your rank in innovation index, what actually means is this, that you are reaping the advantages of technology, which is essentially coming through productivity gains, which overall at the same cost you are likely to be more productive, which means your value addition will be at a higher level. So this is a big change. And if you look at, along with innovation, if you look at two more parameters in this current global index, they are very, very important and we should not lose sight of them. The first one, that if you look at the entire country and all the states, the 36 states and union territories, now their average score in the ease of doing business was 32% in 2015. Now in 4 years' time, that average score has almost doubled to 62%. Now that, to my mind, is a very, very important indicator of what is happening in the country. And the second point, which I would say that we must not lose sight of, is how 5 of the 7 lowest income states in the country have actually made the biggest gains. Uttar Pradesh is one of them. We didn't mention Madhya Pradesh, whose rank went up to 4th. Chhattisgarh has gone up to 6th. Rajasthan, it has gone up to 8th. Now, if you look at these 5 low-income states, if their improvement in the rank is actually telling us a story that the states which are at the lower end of the rung are making huge efforts to come up that value chain and grab more investments.
Mr. Bhattacharya, do you think there's a composite effort required by center and states? Reference to what you just mentioned, RBI has recently reviewed the guidelines for priority sector lending, where special emphasis has been given to the backward areas. So you feel that this is a very important aspect, availability of credit for ease of doing business?
Oh yes, absolutely, because making one of the major key criteria for triggering an investment rush is credit available on easier terms. Not talking about credit to be made available without accountability, without the repayment norms being fully enforced. What I'm saying is this, that right now there are many areas, the backward districts, backward areas, the aspirational districts which are now trying to do well. Many of them are in Jharkhand and Rajasthan. Now, those areas, they suffer from lack of adequate availability of funds. Now, with the RBI's latest guideline on the priority sector lending, giving more focus on priority sector lending for the backward areas, I have a feeling that this will certainly boost the investment climate, improve the climate, make it more attractive in these backward states, and the low-income states will also be benefiting as a result.
Mr. Bhattacharya, what is the role of policy stability and political stability in promoting ease of doing business and hence attracting investment into the country?
I think we must look at these rankings as a kind of providing a mirror to whether the policymakers are trying to improve their policies, their norms, regulations more industry friendly to attract more investment. Now, certainly, stability of the political regimes are an important factor, but more important, the political regimes' awareness and desire to make policies more attractive and more suitable to attract more investment.
Mr. Bhattacharya, what is the importance of ease of doing business rankings in India's effort to expand its role in global supply chain?
This ease of doing business of states in India will attract more attention from those foreign investors who are looking at relocating either from China or some other countries. So therefore, instead of getting a countrywide rank or what is India's ease of doing business, they will be focusing and they will be aided by these state level ranks, and they will find out that why is it that Andhra Pradesh continues to remain at the top of this index, and therefore is Andhra Pradesh a coastal state can provide a place for its global supply chain outfit. So therefore, I think states will get more recognition, more eyeballs, so to say, from foreign investors and those who are at the helm of global supply chain.
Mr. Bhattacharya, Piyush Goyal, the Commerce Minister, said yesterday, Centre is committed towards promoting cooperative and competitive federalism. So if you can just bring to us the essence of this statement.
I think this is the stated policy of the government. In the cooperative federalism, the Centre comes in and sort of shakes hands with the state's administration, irrespective of its political regime, and tries to cooperate and collaborate in making policies more attractive for every stakeholder, including the consumer, the citizen, and the investor. Now, for example, this index is, in my view, is a demonstration of a cooperative federalism where the center and the states have got together with the World Bank to put together an index and ranking that will help the states. Those states who do well, they definitely get more investment. In terms of competitive federalism, what happens is that this index will make sure that states like Haryana or Bihar, which has gone down from 18 to 26, now what they can do to come back into this index and get more investments. So that is what we'll mean by competitive federalism, where states will be able to compete with each other on the basis of these rankings that are now publicly available.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bhattacharya, for this enlightening discussion.
Thank you very much.
You were listening to a discussion on ease of doing business rankings of states. The participants were A.K. Bhattacharya, economic analyst, and AIR correspondent Sonu Sood. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our website newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.